One of the most satisfying feelings can be when you find something that you thought was totally lost. Yesterday's gospel lesson is known as the parable of the prodigal son. The word prodigal means wasteful. But remember that there were two sons in that parable in Luke chapter 15. And also remember that this was the third of the three parables Jesus told. The first two, the first of the coin and then of the sheep that were lost and then their owner went looking for them, have their own meaning, in the sense that Jesus explains how important it is that if something is lost, the owner will search for it and search for it. But a coin can't choose to get lost. A sheep, although animate, is not very smart enough to make those choices for itself. When he finally comes around to talking about these two sons of a father, it becomes very real for each of us individually to think, am I like one of those sons? What choices have I made to get lost? Is someone searching for me? The parable tells of the younger son who asked for the share of his father's estate and then went and squandered all his wealth in wild living. Then his senses came to him, but only after he'd hit rock bottom. After the famine had hit the land, after all he could find to work was with pigs, and he couldn't even eat what food they were eating, nobody would feed him. He had to go back home to a place that he had left, a place that he didn't deserve to go back to. He fully expected to be treated like a slave. And even that would have been a stretch, to think how a father had every right to throw his son back out into the mud and the filth and the stink. And then there was the older son, the one who was out in the fields when the party began after the younger son returned. And he was coming back and himself became angry. He got angry because his brother came home and they had this party. It's almost like he didn't want his brother to be found, that he was content with him lost so the father could spend more attention on him. He was lost on his way. The father went out to him and tried to get him back into the house too, and we're not told in the parable whether or not he came in. But we are told of the father's love. You see, of those three parables and of those two sons in the third parable, the one thing that connects them all is God's faithfulness on display. That we learn just how patient and loving and compassionate God is, where he could just have said, it's just another coin, I'll find another one, leave that one in the dust. Or I've got 99 sheep, what's one to me? I can let that one go. Or even for a father to say, I've got two sons, I've got the other one who's working faithfully, I don't need that other son. But no, he searches, and he finds what he's looking for. He's looking for you. Now maybe you're a believer and you know that faith in your heart is what you need, and a place in God's house is where you belong, but how often have you wandered away from that desire to be with him? Or maybe you have no idea what it means to be in the house of God and to be welcomed into his warm arms and to have his robe of righteousness thrown around you, for him to dress you with his compassion. The beautiful thing about these parables in Luke chapter 15 is that God never fails. The word that we have for patience, really the meaning of it is long-suffering. He suffers a long time, as long as it takes for whomever you are, wherever you've gone, because Jesus suffered for you. Because Jesus was put outside of the house of God for you, outside of God's love, to face the wrath and punishment of the fires of hell for you so that you wouldn't have to. Jesus did that for you. And now you are part of the family of God. Every day God searches for you. Every day God searches and he finds. Through his word he calls. Through the people who care about you and love you and tell you that Jesus loves you, that is the voice of God. And the embrace of God is like nothing else. The welcome that we'll have in heaven will be like nothing else. God finds what he's looking for. He's looking for you, and He's found you. He's embraced you. He's wrapped you in His arms of love. Live in that love today. This has been Pastor Nate Fager. Thanks for listening.